up somewhere.
You don't get no fucking coffee. Fucking get it! Hi everyone and welcome to the Mean Charles Show. Today we are going to talk about HPA. Just as a heads up, we're here with my good buddy Mouse from B Squad. So this video is going to be everything HPA because I've seen a lot of airsofters out there getting straight into HPA, and there's some do's and don'ts. You can kill yourself. You can kill many people with this. You can go to jail. Or you can be a responsible young adult and
or an older gentleman. We don't want to be biased.
Older gentleman and be responsible and not kill people or go to jail.
Lady too.
Yes, definitely. So first do's and don'ts when you get into HPA systems is first number one rule. This is a lot of pressure. We got 4,500 psi on some tanks and 3,000 psi on another. That means that this is a potential bomb if not used correctly. Yes, bomb. And how it becomes a bomb is very simply by people not knowing where to oil. What happens with grease and compressed air? It explodes?
Possibly.
Yes, it explodes, yes. So never ever put grease down your fill nipple. This is called the fill nipple of your tank, because once you pump it up, it will basically explode if the burst discs don't save your life.
What's a burst disc?
Burst discs. You want to go over burst discs?
Sure. So these guys, you have a high and a low burst disc. At extreme pressures, so you don't blow out your gun, one of these valves will release at a lower pressure.
Yes. And
one will release at a higher pressure.
What are the pressures?
The pressures are listed actually on them.
Yes, definitely.
So this one is 7.5.
Yeah, so 7,500 psi. This should explode, saving lives so that you can't pump it past. But generally, you're not going to see a place that can pump past 4,500. It's going to be even like 42. They can't really get to the 45. So a good rule of thumb is never pump a 3,000 pound per square inch tank with 45 because it could blow up, but it won't really. Hydro goes way past that, and we'll talk about hydro, and the burst disc will probably, the burst dick will just explode. Hopefully saving your life. All right. Okay. So now that you're all safe and you're not dying, this is where you become basically a boy and you become a man. Because
or a woman. Girl becomes a woman.
Oh, girl. Yeah, becomes. Hey, keep it down.
Boy becomes a man.
All right.
There's a nice song.
Yeah. So when traveling with tanks, I know in airsoft, people travel, and they travel with their guns on planes. That's cool, as long as you declare it. You have to declare your gun as a replica. That's Canadian law. American law is saying you have to declare that you have a firearm, even though it's not a real firearm. It still goes under federal law that you have to declare it when checking it. And you have to go, there's a whole different video, you have to lock in 4 different places and it can't be pried open. But there's a second step. This is where you can go to jail. If they spot you declaring a compressed tank going through checked baggage and you do not have proper paperwork or the reg removed, they will pull you from the airplane and charge you with attempted, I guess, terrorism for trying to blow up a plane. Because these will blow up if the burst discs don't save you. And at 3,000 feet, it basically will
be a giant bomb.
So you have to unscrew the regulator from the bottle, just like that. It's really hard the first time. You'll have to crack it, open the Loctite, or send it to your shop to do this. And you have to unscrew the reg and then go get the proper paperwork at the check-in and say that you have a compressed cylinder, but the reg is detached and everything is cool. And then they will check it and make sure that you go with the proper paperwork. And you
Don't
won't
try
go
to
jail.
do this with air in it. It's really hard.
Yeah, speaking of that, you want to talk about that?
So your regulator is designed to have grooves milled into it. And so as you unwind it, even though there may be some air left in there, it won't explode in your face because these lines are designed to release that pressurized air that's still in your tank.
Yeah, and it's pretty much impossible to torque on that with like 4,500 psi behind it. As soon as you screw this in, you do not really need Loctite. Even, we'll talk about scuba setups. You do not need to Loctite this. The pressure alone will not...
We'll hold it in.
We'll hold it in, basically. And once you break the Loctite, it's just easier to get it off once you take all the air out of it, press the pin, make sure that there's no air left in it. It's a lot easier to unscrew it. A lot of people, to unscrew it, they take a rubber mallet and they just bang on the fill nipple until it loosens the threads, and then you can unscrew it by hand. So yeah, that's basically safety. Don't blow yourself up and don't blow others up. Other than that, it's pretty much impossible to hurt yourself if you just follow those steps. Now, moving up, it's okay to put oil past the fill nipple. So now we have the top part of the rig where there's a kind of thing going around about Ninja tanks and SLP rigs. There is an SLP rig for low pressure paintball guns. Like behind there, I got a G6R that accepts low pressure regulators. Ninja's stock regulators does not necessarily come with SLPs. That's kind of a myth. It's an extra $80 purchase to get an SLP rig. But Ninjas do come with a shim system where you can add shims and remove shims to up the PSI in your rig. And that's really for Tittmans. The new Tittman M4 carbines need like 600 PSI. They don't need it regulated, low pressure regulator before it goes to the system. These guys want like 800, 600, even 900 on CO2 to make the full auto work and the gun function properly and not leak air. So that's just a heads up. You can shim these guys to up the pressure. Now, we just got this guy hydroed. This is like from 2005, I think, this carbon tank.
Yeah.
So they'll say, it's a 5-year or 3-year hydro. And what they do is you basically go to the hydro facility and they basically pump this thing up full of water way past the restricted 4,500. They go like to 8,000, even up to 10,000, and see if it explodes. If it doesn't explode, then it's good.
Yep.
That's pretty much it.
Or leak, if it doesn't leak.
Yeah, it doesn't leak. Hairline cracks is a visual. You also have to get a Viz test on this, and they'll put you a Viz sticker on it just to double check that there is no hairline fractures. And then they'll slap this big old label on it and be like, "You're good to go, bud." That's pretty much a hydro. You have to do that every 5 to 3 years, depending on your tank, and it will say right on the rating.
It's a fairly inexpensive process. It's really easy to do.
It's about $30 around there. Probably $20 American, $30 Canadian.
Yeah.
Fucking dollar. Yeah. Anyways, so once you're done doing all the bottle maintenance and rig maintenance, it's time to go on filling it up. So scuba shops, they fill up, but they're very particular about paintball tanks. If you go to paintball facilities, you can just get them filled up. They don't care. But this old guy right here, scuba tanks, bring this guy in. This guy. Scuba shops don't want to fill these guys up because they actually bring in air from the tank, and anything that's in here and been floating around for years will go into their scuba system, and then people have to breathe that shit in. So it's a health and safety reason. So don't get pissed off at scuba shops that they won't fill these up, because there's a reason. It involves death and health again. So when you get
nobody wants to breathe dirty air.
Yeah. So basically, when you get into HPA, there's that stuff. So if you have cash, $200 will get you a scuba tank, and then you have to hydro that every 5 years again. Got my hydro right here. and they have to do a viz check on this, and sometimes they'll slap a sticker saying that for breathing or scuba use, and they'll fill these guys up to 3,000 pounds per square inch. And then you can fill to your heart's content. Now, you know how when filling these guys, how it kind of works? So if you have 3,000 pounds here and an empty tank, what happens? How much air do you think you'll get in this? He's a professional. He's been doing this for years.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, if you take 3,000 pounds from your main tank and go to your bottle, you're not gonna get 3,000. It's kind of gonna level out, because basically it has to take what it has in here and distribute it in here. So you're gonna get like probably 2,900 psi, and it's gonna keep on going down and down and down. So what a lot of like teams do that run HPA systems is they get 2 tanks. So they fill off one throughout the day, and that's their mass chunk that they fill the cubic inches in it, and then they top it up after they fill it up, so that you're topping it back up to 3,000 and not sucking all the air out of the tank. So why don't you talk about that?
So we're gonna put this bad boy on.
So what is that? It's a scuba to 1/8 inch fill nipple filler guy.
Okay. Okay, explain to the good people what this is.
Alright, this is an adapter to go from a scuba tank to a 1/8 filled nipple on a paintball tank. It's rated for 3,000 psi and it has a bleed valve. Make sure your bleed valve is always tightened before filling.
Alright, so we're going to screw this bad boy on. Make sure your scuba tank has the O-ring in it, because if not, it's going to leak air. Putting that bad boy in there, making sure that it's tight. We're going to grab our tank. We're going to attach it. And we're going to go put this thing through the back wall.
Yeah. No, this is fine. It's good. Go. So you want to go slow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
So you don't want to hot fill this. You want to cold fill it.
Yes.
So.
But you also want to be looking at the regulator while you're filling it up.
Yeah, well, this is 45 and this is filled to 3,000, so you can pretty much just go until it stops. So basically, you want to not just crank the valve so that you hot fill it, and hot filling means the tank will actually get hot and you won't get, you know, the most psi out of the tank. So you want to slowly build up that. It's bad for the tank if you just flood it with gas, you know, just mayonnaise it right in there.
So right now we're just checking the gauge, make sure that we're filling up to the proper amount here and not overfilling. And there we are at 3,000.
All right.
Releasing the bleed valve, making sure all the air is out of there. And now it is safe to release.
And there you go. It's that simple. So that's basically HPA. It's nice and warm now. Mm-hmm. Hot fill. Nice hot fill, dude. And that's basically it for HPA safety and how to fill your tanks on a airsoft field and have a fun pew-pew time all day.
Yes.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah. So moving on, one more thing.
We have another gadget.
A gadget.
Yeah.
For these guys, Tippmann's. I'll talk about this bad boy later. But basically, what you want to do is check your output pressure on your tanks. And what I do is there's this thing called an ASA in paintball, and it goes on basically your tank and goes to a macro line to your low pressure regulator. And low pressure regulators are basically for like Polar Stars, Daytona guns. Well, not really Daytona guns, but basically it fits on here, and then you can go down to like 100 to 80 psi to go to your actual gun. But with Tippmann's, you want to go like 800 and to 600 psi range. So this allows you to basically check the output pressure by basically just looking at the gauge. So once this is screwed on, you can see how the pressure is basically coming out of the regulator. And then the bitch is getting it off because I don't have a bleed valve on this baby.
So a wrench comes in handy.
Yeah, so a wrench comes in handy. Oh, I can't muscle that off. Got carpal tunnel. We'll get that off later.
Yep.
Anyways, that will read, basically I only have a 300 PSI valve on there. You can go up to, 3,000 or more. And then that will check the output pressure so you know what you're putting on. So yeah, that's basically HPA systems and HPA safety in a nutshell. There is other things like remote lines we can talk about. Might as well talk about it now, actually. This is a remote line. This is the next step you need in your HPA setup after your tank or your LPR, low pressure regulator. Remember, SLP tanks stand for super low pressure systems. Not every Ninja tank comes with an SLP rig. That's a very special item that you have to buy. It's like an $80 rig. Basically, it's just removing the shims in the tank. But basically, there's two kinds of remote lines. There's these bungee ones and then a straight line one. You want to talk about the difference in connectors?
So with this connector here, when you plug it in your gun, there's no bleed valve on it. So what you need to do is when you unscrew your valve on your tank, you need to keep firing your gun until all the air is out of the line. Or
you'll just purge the line and it will shoot and do like a fucking roller coaster around your head.
Yeah, it's very dangerous.
We're iPro when doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could hurt somebody.
Yeah.
So the best system to use is what Ian has in his hand there. This one is a little cheaper, gets the job done, but I prefer using Ian's system over this one.
Yeah, so it's basically a $5 eBay purchase. It's a little slider valve. Bleeds basically the top part of the fill nipple connector. I think it's 1/8 inch, but leaves the line full of air still, so that you're ready just to pop up the basically O-ring ball bearing system, and it will put the pressure back in your gun. Really good for saving air and basically connecting your gun quickly.
Yeah.
Go to your sidearm or connect it to something else like a new mag if you tap your mags in green gas guns.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's basically remote lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recommend labeling that because sometimes you forget in the heat of the moment and you may end up draining your tank. Did that a few times.
And you're running around with a line.
Just straight in air.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically HPA in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for watching.
Good job.
Get it.